All right. Okay, welcome everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is February 18th. And this is the Finance and Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. So with that, can we please determine if we have quorum? EJ.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Director Gloria Gray,
Here.
Chairman Scott Houston,
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez,
Here.
Director Don Deere.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Very good, thank you. So any public comment?
Mr. Chairman, we've not received any requests for public comment, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak, please indicate so by raising your virtual hand. Mr. Chairman, I do not see a request.
Very good, thank you. Presentations, we have no presentations. So action calendar, item 5.1 is the approval of minutes.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Before introducing this item, I did want to make mention that we have one of West Basin's newest, or actually the newest staff member joining us here today is our new Chief Financial Officer, Wendy O'Kelly has joined us. She joined us 2 weeks ago, 5 days ago. And has been working extremely hard to get up to speed on everything that is West Basin, including preparation for our next fiscal year budget process. So I wanted to introduce her very quickly because she'll be presenting a little bit further down in the agenda.
So thank you and welcome. Yes.
Welcome. So with that, I'm going to introduce item 5.1. It's the approval of minutes. And for this presentation, we have Desiree Quintero, our Manager of Administration and Board Secretary, and this item begins on packet page 4.
Yes. Good afternoon, members of the committee and board. The minutes for the West Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors meetings are an integral part of the public meeting process. Minutes provide a history of the actions taken at board meetings, which are informative not only for members of the public, but for other stakeholders as well. Minutes for the January 8th special board meeting, January 17th special board meeting, and the January 27th regular board meeting have been attached for consideration and can be found beginning on packet page 6. With that, I would like to read the recommendation that the board approve the January 8th, 2025 special board minutes, January 17th, 2025 special board minutes, and the January 27th, 2025 regular board. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any questions from any of the directors? Hearing none, let's see. I would recommend these move forward for approval by the board. Director Gray, do you concur?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 5.2. Just consider sponsorship of fiscal year 24-25 community outreach events. It looks like we have 3, right? 3. Okay, so go ahead.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. This item will be presented by Hazel Vasquez, our Deputy Board Secretary 2, and begins on packet page 17.
Okay, good afternoon, Chairman Houston and members of the board. As EJ mentioned, this item does begin on packet page 17. And I have 3 items for your consideration today. The first item is the Lennox Math Science Technology Academy is hosting its annual STEM fair on Saturday, March 22nd, 2025. Director Deere at this time is requesting consideration for West Basin to sponsor the STEM fair in the amount of $750, which would grant West Basin a booth able to distribute district information. In addition to the booth, the sponsorship would also include logo placement on event flyers and other collateral. West Basin has previously sponsored this event in fiscal year 2023-24 in the same amount of $750, and we received similar benefits. Additional information regarding this sponsorship request can be found in attachment A, and that begins on packet page 20. The next item for your consideration today is the Hawthorne Parks and Recreation Foundation. They are hosting their 34th annual golf tournament on Monday, April 21st, 2025. At this time, we do have 3 directors who are interested in having this sponsorship considered in the amount of $250. And that would grant West Basin an advertisement promoting district awareness. In addition to that specific advertisement opportunity, West Basin would also have the opportunity to provide promotional materials that can be included in the golfers giveaway pack. West Basin has not previously sponsored this event or partnered with this organization in previous years, but additional information can be found in attachment B, and that is on package. The last item for your consideration today is the Culver City Education Foundation's Taste of Culver City event, which is being held on Sunday, May 4th, 2025. At this time, Director Houston is requesting consideration for West Basin to sponsor the Taste of Culver City event in the amount of $2,500, and that would grant West Basin an advertisement promoting district awareness. In addition to that advertisement opportunity, the sponsorship would also include passes to the event and recognition on event collateral. West Basin has previously sponsored this event, most recently in fiscal year 23-24 via sponsorship in the amount of $2,500. And at that time, we also received an advertisement. Additional information regarding this request can be found in attachment C, and that is on packet page 30. Now, just to cover the fiscal impact for this, as you know, we have a $75,000 budget allotted for a community outreach event. There's a current balance of $9,000. So approving sponsorship of these three events as requested, which total $3,500, that would leave a remaining balance in the budget of $36,150, and details for that can be found in attachment D on packet page 43. With that, I will read the recommendation. 1, Director Deere recommends that the board consider sponsoring the Lennox Math, Science, and Technology Academy's STEM Fair, scheduled to be held on Saturday, March 22nd, 2025, in the amount of $750. Number 2, Director Houston, Director Gray, and Director Deere recommend that the board consider sponsoring the Hawthorne Parks and Rec Foundation's 34th annual golf tournament, scheduled to be held on Monday, April 21st, 2025, in the amount of $250. And lastly, Director Houston recommends that the board consider sponsoring the Culver City Education Foundation's Taste of Culver City event that is scheduled to be held on Sunday, May 4th, 2025, in the amount of $2,500. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any question?
None, not for me.
Okay. Yes,
I
sir.
have a question for the
Director Alvarez.
Lennox Math, Science, and Technology Academy STEM Fair. That's actually going to be a fair where the students will be presenting their projects.
Correct. There are competitions of sorts involved, similar to last year. They will have various schools coming out to compete in the.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to sponsor the Lennox Math, Science, and Technology Academy STEM Fair.
So hold on. So it's a committee meeting. So,
Oh, that's right. I forget.
but you could make a recommendation.
I apologize.
Okay, but
I
it,
had a question. I withdraw my motion.
well, why don't, what was it you were asking to do? Was it to
No,
increase it?
I'll comment later.
Okay, okay. So, all right. Let's see. Director Deere, you have any questions? Director Gray, any questions?
None. Thank you.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you. So I have no questions. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think we've done each of these in the past. Everything's in order. So I would recommend they go forward with a recommendation of approval to the board. And Director Gray, you concur?
I concur.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So now 5.3, which is consider fiscal year 24-25 district sponsorship requests. And it looks like we have one. EJ.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item is specifically related to the Association of California Water Agency Spring Conference. For this presentation, we do have Carla Hewitt, our executive assistant. This item begins on packet page 44. However, I wanted to note just before she delivers this overview, I do have a couple of comments that I'd like to provide at the conclusion of her presentation. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Carla, and then touch on a few things afterwards.
The Association of California Water Agencies is hosting its spring conference and expo from May 13 to May 15 at the Monterey Conference Center in Monterey, California. But similarly to other years, West Basin has been invited to participate as a sponsor. This year's proposal ranges from $15,000 and above at the diamond level, going down to the bronze level with $1,000 and above. These are various combinations of branding elements and other deliverables such as attendee lists and complimentary registrations that are found in various combinations as one goes from one year to the other. For reference, the district has most recently sponsored this spring conference for Aqua in years 2023 and 2024 at the bronze level with $1,000. Further information on the event can be found on page 46 of your agenda packet, and the sponsorship chart specifically is on page 51. Participation in outreach events and industry events provides West Basin opportunities to connect with the communities it serves, create and strengthen relationships with stakeholders, and to stay up to date with new industry trends. Going over the fiscal impact, the district's sponsorship budget has funds in the amount of $55,000 for the fiscal year, with the current balance being $8,000. You may see that information on attachment B, page 56 of your agenda packet. And moving to the recommendation. Recommendation is that the board consider approving sponsorship of the 2025 Aqua Spring Conference and Expo to be held at the Monterey Conference Center in Monterey, California, from Tuesday, May 13 to Thursday, May 15, 2025, and that it determines the appropriate sponsorship level. And with that, I will give it to EJ, who had some comments, and I'm open for any questions you may have.
Yes, thank you very much, Carla. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee and board, one thing that staff has been looking at is when it comes to these conferences, trying to maximize the value of our sponsorship dollars and really looking at what it is the board is seeking to accomplish, and then making sure that A, that's accomplished, but B, we're maximizing our exposure. And I would use one of the most recent sponsorships as a great example. This past summer, I think it was, myself and former Director Williams attended the Urban Water Institute. And one of the things we chose to sponsor, you had a list of different items, was their refillable water bottles. And so everybody throughout the conference was walking around with these logoed, West Basin logoed water bottles, filling them up. And I was very excited because not only did we sponsor it for a limited dollar amount, but we also got the leftovers that we've been able to utilize as handouts and such over time. And so in looking at that, what I was looking at with Aqua is I think our most recent sponsorship was actually at the $6,500 level.
That's correct. We sponsored the fall conference last year for $6,500.
And so the way Aqua does this apparently is they use a totality of the sponsorship. So a bronze level is $1,000 plus. And then you don't hit that silver dollar or silver sponsorship until you're at $3,000. And then it goes above that. And then the gold is the $6,500. And so what I was looking at is if the board wanted to authorize us to seek a sponsorship, we could look at the whole host of options underneath the Aqua materials and look to find one that meets minimally the bronze level. And then, of course, in the next, which would be the fall conference, we could look for something similar that in aggregation would actually total the $3,000 above. But we can mix and match as far as what it is we're sponsoring. And so I don't know if the committee or board has a very specific item that they want to sponsor, but to use it as an example, I was looking through the materials, and for instance, they had the Tuesday committee coffee sponsor, and that equaled the bronze level of $1,000. And then, of course, in the next one, we could pair that with something in the $2,000 range to get us up above the silver option. So I just want to provide that overview. Typically, what we've done is we've kind of introduced this item. and just requested a potential sponsorship in that range. But I don't know that the committee and board has had the option of looking at the specific investment of what we're making. And I also wanted to give our administrative team a lot of credit, because one thing that they've been doing is really just tracking our investments when it comes to this. So the whole host of all the photographs of what we're getting, so we can kind of see it and judge it in future years, has been extremely helpful as far as how we as staff look. With that, I'll throw it back to the committee and board, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Very good, thank you. I guess I'll just start out by saying, I think I'm okay if we just look at the $1,000 level we did before. I don't want to make it more complicated, quite frankly, but, you know, I would love to hear what, committee member Director Gray, do you have a thought yet on this? I'll open to the others. So Director Gray.
Yes, thank you. I actually like what EJ said, because we do get a lot of sponsorships, and I like that model where he looks at it based on what the board wants to accomplish, to see how we can do that when we do support different events or different organizations. So I kind of like that model. So if we could just kind of see what that means, and see what that recommendation will be like after he looks at that, I do like what he said.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Director Gear? Alvarez?
Well, my comment is, I'm not supportive of this, because I think that we already do contribute a lot of money to Aqua. Our annual membership dues are $37,190, which I support, a good organization for this agency to be a member of. But they continue investments in sponsorships doesn't seem like it's a worthwhile investment. I think that the better investment is our attendance at these conferences, and our ability to talk about West Basin to other attendees.
Very good. Okay. So Director Gray and I are thinking two different things. And so on timeline, EJ, if we were to ask you to go back and look at something else, like you were suggested, and what Director Gray thinks we might want to do, how fast can you do that? And, or does this affect, you know, the sponsorship consideration?
Well, what I might suggest, actually, because I'm looking at the whole host of things, if the board want, or if the committee and board ultimately want to direct us to go find a sponsorship for 1,000 or less, we can do that. Or if you'd like, recognizing that the way Aqua does this is on a calendar year basis, not our fiscal year. So they look at the spring conference and the fall conference. So if you wanted us to get you to that silver level, we could go look for a sponsorship that was 1,500 or less. And then in the upcoming fall, we would do the same thing, and we would try to mix and match that way. Because even if I was to tell you what I think we could do, we would need to kind of lock that in. And I'm looking at for 1,500 and below, there are several different options. For instance, there's a policy program session. There's the coffee sponsorship. You know, there's the I don't know what the headshot sponsor is. Maybe Matt knows. The headshot sponsor. I don't know what that- Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what I'd like us to do is consider mixing and matching and giving staff a little bit of leeway to go in there and find the best match for the dollar amount that you're thinking of.
Excuse me. Well, here's a question for you. So if you were to just do the straight up silver for 3,000, and I guess it says you get one complimentary registration to be used next year. But if you were to do this mix and match thing and you were to get up to $3,000, does that still include that free registration at some point?
Go ahead.
Yes, it's, they adapt the total in the calendar year. So our benefits as they relate to complimentary registrations are calculated from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. And whatever we are able to get based on the dollar amount that we put towards it, we will be able to use it all year. So doesn't matter if it's one conference or the other or both combined, as long as we meet the dollar amount.
So it adds up over the course of the year. Okay, got it. Okay. Well, I'm open to you all looking at it to maybe get us up to the $3,000 level. EJ, sounds like, I think what Director Gray might be considering as well. So Director Gray, do you think we should have them look at that option?
Yeah, I kind of thought about, was it 1,000 or 1,500? Was that it? And then the next level was 3,000. Is that what it is?
Correct, right.
I would like to ask them to look at that range. I wouldn't just say 3,000. I would look at the range. 1,500 to 3,000 would be the limit, but see what they could
Okay.
actually get even at a lower level. Just my suggestion.
Okay. Very good. I think that's fine. So I think I concur with Director Gray. So if you all can look at something between what, $1,500 to $3,000. Not sure how quick you can come back to us with that. I don't think you'll have it by Monday.
I don't know that we'll have it by Monday, but I think we'll be close. And I think that the direction provided by the committee and board ultimately will get us in that range.
We could do this during next month's cycle, right? We're not rushed yet with them on a deadline.
Problem with that is that the further you get, or the closer you get to the event, the further option or the reduced options that you have because people start picking and selecting. So that's, I
Do you
think
think you can get this as an action item for Monday?
yes.
And I think that would be ideal. So I think Director Gray, you're in agreement, right? If by Monday, they could have something on our agenda.
Yes, Chairman. Yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
Okay, good. All righty. Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, we will move on to the next item, which is number 4. The new agreement with GRM Document Management for long-term offsite record storage.
Yes, thank you very much. This item, 5.4, is related to our document management system. And so for this presentation, we have Stephen Hurst, our record management administrator, as well as Desiree Quintero, our manager of administration. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Stephen.
Thank you, EJ. Good afternoon, Chairman Houston, board and committee members and colleagues. The records management program here at West Basin serves to collect, manage, and disposition all of our records created and received here at West Basin. These records are necessary to document all the important work that we do and the decisions made in our regular course of business. We also use these records to respond to the many public records requests that West Basin receives. 2 of the major components of our records management program involve the long-term storage of these records, as well as the secure destruction of these records when their required retention periods have been met. These 2 components are also needed to ensure records are available when needed and that their proper destruction when they are no longer needed. In March of 2015, West Basin established a relationship with GRM Document Management Services to provide these 2 important components. The contract was renewed in March of 2020, and over the years, West Basin has actually stored almost 3,500 boxes with GRM. GRM has also provided the secure destruction of over 1,000 boxes, and they currently store over 2,100 boxes of records for West Basin. GRM also provides a secure database to manage these boxes and allows for easy, accurate, and timely retrieval and the secure transport of these records between our facilities. Every department here at West Basin actually has records stored in GRM, with operations, finance, engineering, and administration departments rounding out the top users. Over the years, we actually averaged about 60 transactions per year, or about 5 per month with GRM. The majority of our records fall within the 2 to 10 year retention period. However, some have several retention periods that are well beyond the 10-year mark. These include engineering, operations, and even the board of directors has some permanent records as well. We currently have 813 permanent boxes of records, which is almost 39% of our inventory. GRM also employs an environmentally beneficial records destruction process, that utilizes a DoD level secure crosscut process, which reduces the records to small confetti pieces. These are then collected into large bales and processed into a paper pulp, and that paper pulp is then reused as new paper products, which produces a lower dependency on raw resources and reduces West Basin's carbon footprint. West Basin has enjoyed a mutually beneficial relationship with GRM Data Management, which has allowed us to maximize our office space and usability, minimize the need for additional filing and storage areas, and has also helped minimize the cost of record storage. In fact, the schedule of charges that will be established with this new agreement was actually created in 2023 and will remain in effect with the new agreement. So today's recommendation is that the board authorize the general manager to renew the professional services agreement with GRM Document Management Systems for the storage of West Basin records for the 5-year term beginning March of 2025 through March of 2030 for a total amount not to exceed $90,000. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start with Director Gray. Do you have any questions, Director Gray? Hear her at the moment. Director, any of the
I'm sorry.
directors? Oh, there you are. Any questions?
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have questions? Director Alvarez, go ahead.
Seems like we store an awful lot of physical records. And most of those were being required to store. I assume, just to get a confirmation, we have digital copies of every physical record that's in
Not-
storage?
Not every physical record, which is why we still have a need for the physical record and for the electrical as well. Now, coming out of the pandemic, there was a large transition to a heavily digital world after that. So we're not sending off as many paper records as we have in the past. We're more reliant on the electrical or digital. So this service will eventually phase out, but we will still have permanent records that we'll need to store. And they'll manage that for us as well.
It seems to me that we would be better off if we just had digital records of all, instead of the physical records, with the exception of original documents, which would be a much smaller percentage of the overall records. What you mentioned was quite extensive, takes up a lot of space, etc.
Sure.
So, question, maybe you can look at and come back and let us know, what would it take to just digitize all these physical records and then destroy the physical records and we don't need the space?
Yeah, in my past experience, it's been too cost expensive to actually, the benefit wasn't there to actually digitize. I can actually take a look at what West Basin has and try to come up with the figure for you. And bring that back to a future committee meeting for you and let you know if the juice is worth the squeeze on that one for you, for sure.
I would appreciate seeing the numbers. It might not be worthwhile, but I would appreciate seeing the numbers.
You bet. Sounds great.
Very good. Thank you. Let's see, I don't have any questions. So with that, I would like to move this with a recommendation of yes to the board. Okay, and Director Gray, do you concur?
I concur. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. All right, so with that, we are going on to item 5, number 5, which is adopt resolution number 02-25-1220, approving state and local cybersecurity grant for government's program from the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just recently, I notified the board that West Basin had been awarded a $250,000 IT grant. And as part of the acceptance process, we are required to adopt a resolution. So with that, I do have Matt Bay, our Manager of Water Policy and Resources Development, here to present this item. And it does begin on packet page 68.
Good afternoon, directors. So as EJ mentioned, the item for you today is one to provide you with a little bit of information about this grant that we went after. but also to request board adoption of a resolution to complete the application process and secure that grant funding to support the district's cybersecurity program. As EJ mentioned, with many state and federal grants, as part of the administrative process, there is a requirement for the elected body of an organization to adopt a resolution as a part of that grant acceptance process. And so we are coming to you today to ask for that adoption of the resolution. I also just want to mention, because there are some technical aspects of this presentation, if you do have any technical questions, that Isaiah Suarez, our information technology supervisor, is in here as well, and he's happy to answer any more technical questions that you might have for him. My team did work with Isaiah to put together this application, and Isaiah just did a really great job of putting together a competitive grant application that was ultimately selected for an award. And just for a little bit of background on the grant, I think as you recall, there's a lot of media focus on cybersecurity issues last year. I saw a lot of stories in the news about that, some smaller utilities being affected. And so we started having conversations at the staff level about what are some things that we could do to enhance our cybersecurity profile here at the district. And so this grant opportunity came about in July of 2024 when the Governor's Office of Emergency Services released a funding opportunity for what's known as the State and Local Cybersecurity Program Grant Program. So through this solicitation, Cal OES encouraged local governments, which includes school districts, special districts, and others, to address any cybersecurity risks or threats to their information systems, to improve security of critical infrastructure, and to improve resilience of the services that these organizations provide to their communities. Under this program, there was a limit, a maximum award limit of $250,000 per applicant. The great news about this specific grant program is that there is no local cost share that's required of the awardee, so it's 100% funded through the state grant. And I can also share with you that West Basin sought out and received the full $250,000 award for its application. So now I'm going to go through just a little bit of the technical details. So the IT department identified a program that would be eligible to receive the grant funding, which would enhance the district's cybersecurity goals and objectives. The project includes 4 main initiatives that include cybersecurity program assessment and development, disaster recovery system acquisition, migration to a .gov domain and identity management infrastructure, and security information and event management implementation. So in September of last year, staff did submit a notice of interest application and an assessment survey, which describes our proposed project and goals for this grant. And it's also important to note that West Basin's cybersecurity posture or profile aligns with several elements that are outlined in the California state and local government cybersecurity plan. And I believe this played a role in us being successful and being awarded the grant. But we have capabilities in key areas like managing information systems and continuity of operations. This grant funding will allow us to further strengthen the district's alignment with some of these statewide standards, which could include some or all of the following components. We'll be managing and monitoring systems, auditing and tracking network traffic, enhancing response and resiliency, augmenting disaster recovery system, implementing best practices, strengthening vulnerability management, and again, migration to the .gov domain. Acceptance of this grant funding will allow Isaiah and the IT team to implement a strategy aimed at elevating West Basin cybersecurity posture by focusing on real-time monitoring, incident response, disaster recovery, and best practice adoption. Included in this report as attachment A is a copy of the resolution, which is on page 70 of the committee packet. And before I read the recommendation, I wanted to hold for any questions that you might either have for me as to the application or the program itself, or Isaiah on some of the more technical aspects.
Hey, very good. Actually, why don't you just read the recommendation so we at least have that out of the way?
Okay,
Thank you.
great. So the staff recommendation is that the board approve resolution number 02-25-1220, which is a resolution of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District in support and acceptance of grant funding under the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, State and Local Cybersecurity Program for local and tribal governments.
Very good, thank you. So with that, I'll just open it up if anybody has any questions. Director Gray, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Here now, Director Alvarez?
Question. Does this grant, or will we be doing anything in addition to what we were doing without receipt of this grant? That makes sense?
I can answer that. So no, sir, these initiatives that we planned out were part of our long-term strategy in IT of another initiatives that we wanted to do either the following fiscal year. Item number 4 on this list was actually budgeted for this fiscal year. So we'll see the immediate savings once we get reimbursed on that. However, all of these have been kind of a part of our long-term strategy planning around cybersecurity.
Very good. Well, it's nice to know that we're getting the $80,000 savings this year for the work we're going to do anyways, and $250,000 over the course of the grant. Congratulations.
So, I think I just had a quick question on that too, would be, so once we get this, I mean, all we're doing really is accepting. Yeah, there's no strings attached, right? It's a grant. How soon do we actually receive the money once we submit the resolution?
So yeah, so the period of performance actually already started at the end of last year, and it goes through the end of December 2026. So any costs that we have incurred during that time period, we can submit for reimbursement grant. So going forward, anytime we have new costs that, I think we'll probably do it on a quarterly basis or something like that. But yeah, going forward, just whenever we incur those costs.
I think one other thing on this that, because we will be doing our budget discussions, of course, coming up. But just in general, we probably should get an update once in a while during the course of the calendar year as to where we're at with, technology and cybersecurity. So I don't know when to do that at some point, but you probably should look at giving us a presentation, maybe in the fall, EJ. I assume that would come to this committee probably, right? Administration?
Yeah.
So I think you just should put that on the radar screen that down the road, why don't you give us some sort of a update as to where we're at, how we've been, what we're also looking at doing in the future. Because obviously this is a big issue that everyone's dealing with. So it'd be good for us to know where you're at. So, okay. Okay. So with that, I would recommend a yes on this goes to the full board adopting this resolution. Director Gray, you concur?
I concur.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we are on to our information calendar, item 6, number 1, which is the fiscal year 24-25 second quarter financial results.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item 6.1 will be presented by 2 of our top level finance staff members. So we have Wendy O'Kelly, our Chief Financial Officer, as well as Stephanie Clemente Finley, our Accounting Supervisor. I'll hand it off to them.
Thank you, EJ. Chairman Houston and members of the committee. I'm going to allow Stephanie Clemente Finley, who will provide the committee with a financial overview of the budget versus actual report for the second quarter.
Thank you, Wendy. Every quarter, staff provides the board the financial overview and budget versus actual report. We will go over the information regarding the variances for the second quarter ending December 31st, 2024. Before we move on to the report, I'd like to point out that on page 72 and 73, the headers are listed as first quarter when they should be second quarter. Moving on with the portable water sales and net operating income for portable water sales. West Basin experienced a higher than projected portable water sales due to the increase in demand. The portable water sales for the second quarter FY25 were 46,641 acre feet.
which is 2,881 acre feet, 7% higher than budgeted. And that was, the budgeted was 43,760 acre feet. So we were over by 7%. The net income, the net operating income for FY 24 potable water sales was budgeted at 16.5 million. However, the actual amount generated was 13.8 million. Okay, so that's the information in regards to the potable water sales. Moving on to the recycled water sales revenue and expenses. The net recycle income from FY 25 water sales was budgeted at a negative 2.8 million. However, the actual amount was a negative 1.6 million for the month, for the quarter of second quarter. And the acre feet for second quarter was the operating expenses was 27 million. Water sales in acre feet is 16,644 acre feet. And the average cost per acre feet is $1,664. And moving on to page 74 is our investment income. Our budgeted for FY 25 is 1.2 million. The actual for our investment income is 1.6 million. And on our water use efficiency income and loss, you'll see on the last two columns, our budgeted was for the fiscal year 25 is 862,000 with operating expenses of 2.4 million with a negative 1.5 million. FY 25 actual, our operating revenue is 45,000. Operating expense is 859,000 with a net loss of a negative 814,000. We did receive income in DWR of 14,000 and USBR of 30,000, which gives us the 45. Other revenue collected during our fiscal year 25 includes standby of 2.2 million and water harvest sponsorship of $11,500. Our overall debt coverage, we are targeted for 1.5. Our actual debt coverage for fiscal year 25, second quarter is 1.98. Any questions in regards to that before we move on?
Questions?
Um,
Go ahead, Director Albert.
Yeah.
Did you have one, Director Gray, or you're good?
I was just gonna comment on the debt coverage. Very good. I love
Oh.
that number that she just indicated. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Alvarez, you had a question?
Just on the tables that you went over, for example, table on page 73, the recycled water operating result. Are we looking at the first quarter or the second quarter?
Second quarter.
The table says first quarter. It got me confused and going.
I apologize. It is second
So,
quarter that we're
All
reviewing.
those tables it says first quarters.
Correct.
Okay. Then on the water use efficiency income and loss by fiscal year, I can appreciate the difference between actual and budgeted, but it just seems the actual 45,000
For second quarter, correct.
and the budgeted is 862. So are we comparing apples to apples there, or we're?
Well, no, that's actually the budgeted for the year.
And then when it says FY 25 actual, that's not. That's
Second
actual for
quarter.
the second quarter.
And Director Alvarez, we'll have this, these tables corrected as it's an information item in the full board packet.
Okay, thank you. Just seemed like incongruous, I'm only, something's not right. Numbers are just too far apart.
Going on to page 75. It gives you our overall second quarter actual financial results with our operating revenues, our second quarter FY 25 operating revenues at 11 million or 119 million. Our operating expenses at 104 million with a net revenues of 21 million. And then our debt service amount is 10.8 million and our debt coverage at 1.98. And we listed out some of the explanations in regards to the various differences.
Stephanie, can you just quickly touch on those?
Okay, so letter A is the potable water sales. We are over budget by 7%. Letter B is our recycled water sales. And here we have our Q2 budget at 17,000 acre feet. Our actual sales is 16,000 acre feet. Letter C, we had budgeted 198,000 for the fiscal year. But due to the Torrance boiler agreement ending in August 24, we only budgeted 2 months payments. So we're over there, we're over in fiscal year 25 Q2 at 598,000. And then for D, some of the projects have not started, and that's with water use efficiency. And letter E is our phase 2 and PB grants are still outstanding. And letter F is billing delays, and letter G, which is the PI, is ordering the K-12 school supplies. Okay, moving on to page 76. It gives you our budgets to actual second quarter up to December 2024, our recycling operations. Here we have budgeted 29 million and the actuals is 27 million with a negative 5% decrease in that or savings. We do have the permits and treatment surcharge was a little over. These are our quarterly payments versus our budget. And then overall with the section or the numbers 2, overall actuals are lower than budget with exception of the contract operations and Veolia facility maintenance. Moving on to PI, page 77. We have budgeted 2.3 million. Our actuals for second quarter is 2.1 million with a negative 10%. Overall, number 1, we've had consultant. Our budget was 74,500. Our actuals is 96, so we're over under event services. And number 2, the supplies of program supplies are lower due to but purchasing educational programs supplies. Next page on 78, we have our water quality monitoring. Budgeted is 10,000. Actuals is 12,000. We had some overage in regards to a little bit overage on the Aerofins. Actuals is $5,550 versus the budget of $4,675. And same thing with brick. We have actuals of $1,300 versus $1,200. Moving along to page 79, technical planning. Our budget for technical planning is $489,000. Our actual is $287,000. The main difference is the consultants. We had estimated the chemical tank condition assessment and the climate control plan at 125 and 300. And then on page 80, we have the water policy and resource development. Budget is 1.1 million and actuals is 763,000, which is a negative 33%. We do have the monthly fees that we pay to that are invoiced at 25,250, and the other expenses should be coming through within the next quarter. And we have on page 81, water use efficiency. Our budget was 1.2 million. Actuals are 859,000, negative 29%. We had on number 1, the consultants, and that was for a rain barrel and a grass replacement. And then the grass removal and the program supplies, those were started in second quarter, but we haven't received most of the fees yet. Recorded most of the fees yet. And then finally, the last page on our budget to actual report for second quarter is on page 82, and that's a CIP. Our annual budget is 42 million, and our actuals is 7.9 million. And you can see the variance there per project. And are there any questions in regards to the budgets to actuals?
I do have a quick question. On page 77 of our packet, which is the public information part, and just so I understand on the consultants portion, can someone explain? The budget's like $87,700, but the actual is $134,887. So what exactly is that? Actually, it says that that's the number one thing. So it says over in event service expenditures budget.
Yeah, so that that was one of the differences was the event services. They had budgeted 47 and the actual is 96.
Okay, but what is that for? What is that about?
Oh, the event services, this is probably for let's see which plan that was.
My understanding, Director Houston, is that is our water harvest,
Yeah,
which
that is
came
water
within
harvest.
our budget for the event. We did, I believe, shift some of our costs to the event coordinator, but I can get additional information for you.
I agree that is the water harvest difference.
I guess, can you all explain what that means though? Like the water harvest was budgeted a certain amount and it came in over, or?
Let me do a deeper dive and I'll send that out to the committee and board. Again, our water harvest was completed under budget, but let me check to make sure exactly how we budgeted for it.
I guess because then I understand where you have the little footnote underneath, but you know, obviously the big picture is the 87.7 versus 134,000, right? So I guess you need to explain to us why, if we have a budget of a certain amount, how come it came in considerably over? Because I don't know what consultants these are.
And I apologize, Director Houston, can you repeat the question or the?
Well, I think you have to do a better job explaining the difference in this, what it says is budgeted for the consultants versus what's actual.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Even the footnotes, so basically it's almost twice, right? Almost twice the cost,
Let me
47,500 to 96,000.
take a look because I don't want to assume in relation to the answer, but I'll check with them. I get that out by the end of the day.
And because the same, again, on
EJ?
consult-
Yes, Daryl,
This is Daryl. If you would like me to chime in, I'm more than happy to.
of course.
During
ahead.
the year, we have consultants that are budgeted through different months. And what that means is that consultants for our events can be not only for water harvest, but throughout the year, we have other events, whether it's for
Okay.
ribbon cutting ceremonies, whether it's for photography services, which things like that. So even though it currently appears that we are over budgeted at this point in time, that's because the expenses could be coming up identified in the budget later in the year.
Okay, or is it under budgeted and over actual? Am I reading
Yeah,
this right?
so, and as we end up the fiscal year in June, it should come out more evenly. So for some of our special event consultant services, we had anticipated that they would have taken place early in the year, and then they have actually been postponed. Whereas some may be coming up later in the year and they've already taken place. But I can go ahead and go through the different purchases or different expenses through our event consultant services and can have a detailed description of what these calculated numbers are, how they're defined.
Director Houston, I would say that the simple answer is if you look at consultants, you can see that $134,887 have been spent. That is our actual. And this is one of the issues that we would point out with, as you look at our budget to actuals per quarter, is that a lot of our expenses are spread out throughout the year. And so we'll have highs and we'll have lows. So if you look to the far right, you can see the annual budget. There's 175,400.
Yeah.
So that's to get us through the entirety of the fiscal year. So you look at the 134, we're below our annual budget, but it's been front loaded.
Okay, okay.
And so what we'll do is we'll make some edits to those staff comments below to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah.
But you'll see that if you go through a lot of these charts, you're going to see that with some regularity because of the way we budget.
That makes more sense, yeah. Excellent. All right, and thank you, Daryl, by the way, for chiming in. Thank you. Let's see, any other questions anyone has so far? Yes, Director Alberts.
Well, go to page 77, I'm sorry, 75. Again, it's just clarification. Saying fiscal year 24-25, second quarter actual, that really means mid-year.
Yes. December 2024. July through December.
If we can clarify that, because I looked at the relative magnitude of the numbers, it's only about half of what the annual is, but if it's just the second quarter, it can't be right, so that would be the mid-year actual.
We'll make that edit as well.
Very good.
Thank you.
Let's see, are you There's more to this to go, or that was
More.
it? Just on that one. Go
I have
ahead.
one other question on
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
and I apologize. Just on the investment income, the difference there is primarily because of higher interest rates that we're earning right now.
Um, we had presented this in our last FNA, and I believe that is correct.
What's the question again? I missed it.
If you look at investment income, the mid-year actual is 1.7 million. The budget was 1.3 million. So the delta is due to higher interest rate. What would it be due to? I'm assuming it's interest rate. Just wanted to find out if that is the case.
We can verify that.
In the investment report that I reviewed, or that's coming up next, there was a difference between purchase rates and the market yield now, and it's about 0.3% higher. So this may very well be due to interest rates.
But thank you.
Good. Any other questions? So is that the end of this particular item?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Not cutting you off. Okay, very good. And if you all can make sure to get those edits adjusted properly. Let's see. Item 6, number 2 is the monthly financial report. So EJ. Go ahead.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, this item begins on packet page 83. Again, for this presentation, we have Wendy O'Kelly, our Chief Financial Officer, and Stephanie Clemente Finley, our Accounting Supervisor.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Chairman Houston and committee. The monthly financial report as required by West Basin Municipal Water District Administrative Code, Section 4-1.104B, internal reporting. Staff is required to submit various financial reports to the Board of Directors to keep them apprised of the financial condition and future needs of the district. So the reports that we will present to you today will be the monthly demand list, the cash and investment report, water sales statement, and then the expense reports for directors, conference, and then also executive management, travel, staff and travel expense reports as well. I'll start with the monthly demand list. So West Basin's monthly demand list is for period ending July 31st to 2025. It's totaling $21,844,612.29. There's two noteworthy demands that.
Where do you have page number? Sweet.
I'm so sorry. I'm a new person. I didn't put the page numbers.
Starts at page 80.
89. Thank you. Thank you. Page 89. To the two noteworthy demands include a payment in the amount of $10,642,635.73 to Metropolitan Water District for the month of November. And then one other one was our bond payment totaling a little over $4 million. Are there any questions for the demand list?
Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
And for our investment report, starting with page 91. For the cash investment report for January 2025, the investment activities are as of January 31st, 2025, and there's just a few areas that I wanted to point out. The total investment portfolio, excuse me, is $55,767,141.52. With that, we've invested about 11.4 million in U.S. Treasuries, and then 21.35 million in a pool or a money market, mutual funds. So for those two funds, although they yield a lower return, it is the safest way to invest, as U.S. Treasuries is less sensitive to market fluctuations. And then in the top portion of page 91 as well, you'll see the average maturity is 0.99 years, which means a good portion of our investments will mature within a year or less. And then also there is page, I'm trying to get the page number. Page 93 indicates a little bit more of the detail for the market maturity distribution. It's about $35.7 million will mature in less than a year of our investment pool. And this basically provides access to cash if needed, and then also the ability to reinvest those funds into other investments with higher interest rates. And then still toggling between page 91, our market yield is slightly higher than our purchase yield, which is an indicator that the market rate is a bit higher than the rate when we purchased it. So that was a 3.3% that I calculated between the 3.93 and the 4.29. And then finally on 92, the average credit quality is AAA rated, which accounts for 47.9% of our investment portfolio. And then 32.4% is AA rated, while 11% is A rated. This again is another example of conservative investment, of a conservative investment portfolio, where I'm not an investment guru, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anyone have questions?
When we invest in, 8% or 9% of the portfolio is non-rated, what is that investment in?
That, I don't have the detail, but I can certainly come back to you with that answer, what that 8% stands for. There, the security types are on the first page 91, but I don't have the breakdown of the non-rated.
Thank you.
Good. Go ahead.
The next, we'll have the water sales statements by Stephanie Clemente Finley.
Okay, and starting on page 94, we have our imported water sales. The January acre feet was 6,928, which is over by month and year to date, both in budget and fiscal year. Our imported barrier is 682, which was below fiscal year 24 and higher than budget. Year to date, it's at 5,194 acre feet over year to date and budget and fiscal year 24. Moving on to page 95, we have our recycled water. January recycled water is 2,570 acre feet, both over FY 24 and budget. And year to date is 19,213 acre feet. And we're over fiscal year 24, but under budget. And then it gives you the breakdown below, the barrier, refineries, and the disinfected tertiary. And you can see there the breakdown of the three. Any questions in regards to the water cell?
Any questions?
No, thank you.
No questions. Okay, go ahead.
On to page 96 for director's conference and travel expenses for year to date fiscal year 24-25. It's at $17,191, which is about 23% of the overall budget. And then for 97, the executive management and staff travel expenses for fiscal year to date fiscal year 24-25 is $50,534.93, and that makes up approximately 50% of the overall budget. That concludes our monthly financial report. If there are any questions.
Good, thank you. Let's see, any questions one more time? Anybody? Director Gray, any questions?
No, thank you.
Director Deere or Director Alvarez?
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add one thing. I do know that we had Chandler Asset Management come to our January F&A committee and provide a investment report update. And I was going to say that will likely answer Director Alvarez's question. I know that you weren't able to attend the F&A committee, but we'll circulate that presentation again, and again, be able to follow up with any questions that you might have after reviewing that.
Thank you. Let's see, closed session. We have no closed session today. Director comments or future agenda items. I'll start with Director Gray.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to staff for all the reports today. Appreciate the information. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any comments, Director Gear?
Thank you.
Alvarez.
I just want to congratulate the staff for bringing in most of the accounts under budget. So we should show a surplus this year. And we're projecting a little bit higher water sales than what we budgeted. All to the good, and will put us in a better financial basis to start next fiscal year. So thank you very much for all your efforts at really controlling expenses. Let's keep that up for the next 5 months or 4 months, so that by the end of the year, we're still tracking at those same percentages or better.
Will do, and thank you for that. Thank you to staff for all the work that they've been doing.
Okay, thank you. You know, I'd like to echo that. Thank you very much. You know how we have really pushed on budget issues the last handful of years, and so we do appreciate staff working with that. I do want to welcome you to our team. Forgive me, it's Wendy
Okay.
O'Kelly.
Yes.
Wendy O'Kelly. Got it. So thank you, and you know, congratulations on being here. You know, we're very happy to have you, and you know, hopefully you're getting acquainted well with the staff and of course the directors, you know, on occasion when we are here. So appreciate your service. And when it comes to our budget talks, if you will, EJ, can you give us just a preview of what we're thinking about for timeline? Because we're already nearing the end of February, so you know you've got
Yes,
some
so I-
shops to start preparing
So
for.
I had the opportunity to meet with the board president just this past Friday. We provided an overview of the process that we had last year. And so our admin team will be reaching out to the board members to finalize those meetings. We're gonna copy the same footprint that we did last year. And again, staff is available to add meetings to that. But I thought last year we were able to build upon each specific subject matter, meeting after meeting. And so I'm very pleased by how that process went. And just to highlight kind of Wendy's preparation, I know that she had actually gone back and watched some of those meetings as well, looking to see how we do our budget process. So we'll be working to schedule those meetings with you as soon as possible.
Just again, are we looking at things starting next month?
Correct. So last year, we had kind of this process in place to move March, April, and May, hopefully setting us ahead of schedule as far as our budgeting process. But we do have a list of, how many workshops was it? I don't want to, five workshops.
Workshops.
It is, but unlike, you know, years prior to last year, each workshop is focused in on very specific areas. So we're not overlapping, but we build upon each piece, and we can adjust as needed. But I thought last year's process went fairly well.
Very good. So I look forward to hearing from staff on that. And with that, I don't think we have any other business before us. It says our next scheduled meeting will be held in March of 2025. So we don't have a date on it. Do we not have a date on our next meeting?
We didn't yet because of the committee or reorganization. So just to make sure in case we had any changes.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So to be determined on that one, if you will. But with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.